Today is day 147 of the Daily Bread Bible Study for Tuesday, May 26, 2020, focusing on Job chapters 1 through 4. So, as we are getting into Job for this next week, I have to admit that I'm not very familiar with the book of Job. Now, I've heard a lot about Job, a lot about suffering and the encounters that Job has with his friends, quote unquote friends. And personally, it's not something that I sit and just read for the joy of it, right? I perceive it as an emotional, accusatory, confrontational, book, which is not really my personality. And so the book of Job discusses struggles of the situation Job is in, of human suffering and the longing for God and peace and rest. It also details the wrestling of Job after great loss and the challenges and limitations of people speculating about what God is doing in our lives. So with that brief introduction, let's get into the book of Job together. Now the story begins with a man named Job, a blameless and upright man who fears God and turns away from evil. He has a great life. He has 10 kids, herds of animals, and family celebrations where he gets together and they get to celebrate a life and community, and it's a blessing. Job fears God and even offers burnt offerings after the family gatherings as a gift to God, seeking to cover any of the possible sins that might be present in his family that he's just not aware of. He cares a lot about his relationship with God, is what that means. And so we glimpse God with the heavenly beings, and Satan, the accuser, shows up, stating how he has been wandering around the earth doing his thing. God points out how proud he is of Job, and Satan states that it's easy to be proud of something that you have in a quote-unquote offense. See, Satan is accusing God of making Job invulnerable to challenges, and Satan speaks of this fence in saying that without its protection, Job would surely fall into sinning. Satan the accuser says, "Stretch out your hand now and touch all that he has, and he will curse you to your face," in Job 1:11. Believing that Job will stay righteous, God grants Satan permission to bring challenges upon Job, but states, "Do not kill the man." Satan then goes to work and brings the challenges upon Job quickly. One after another, Job learns his oxen and donkeys are gone, his sheep and servants are gone, his camels are no more, and lastly, his children have all died. Hit by a wave of emotions, Job humbles himself and worships God. Thus, Job stays righteous through test number 1. In Job 1:22, it says, In all this, Job did not sin or charge God with wrongdoing. So in Job chapter 2, we again see an interaction between God and Satan. God is proud of Job, saying that he has remained faithful while God allowed challenges to befall him. And then Satan responds that it's easy to be faithful when these challenges are outside of a person, right? He lost animals, sheep, property. He lost, children, which is not really his own life. Satan proposes letting Job's bone and flesh feel challenges, and then Job will curse God. God again allows Satan to do anything except kill the man. Job develops loathsome sores and seeks to address these, and also hears Satan speaking through his wife. In Job 2:9, then his wife said to him, "Do you still persist in your integrity? Curse God and die." But he said to her, "You speak as any foolish person would speak. Shall we receive the good at the hand of God and not receive the bad? In all this, Job did not sin with his lips. So at the end of chapter 2, in a hopeful scene, Job's 3 friends come to be present with him. They hear of his challenges and make the journey. Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar come to comfort him. They weep in dust and are present with him 7 days without saying anything. In Job chapter 3, we then hear Job speak, and he curses. Now, Job does not curse God, as that would be a sin, but rather curses the day that he was born. Job is venting his frustration with his friends nearby, needing to process it out loud and get it out. Why could I have not been born? As to, quote in Job 3:10, hide trouble from my eyes. He cites the blessing of being with God, stating that in verse 19, the small and the great are there, and the slaves are free from their masters. And so there's kind of a release of being present, physically with God there in heaven. His feelings, where he is at, are captured in verse 26. I am not at ease, nor am I quiet. I have no rest, but trouble comes. So Job ends chapter 3 by admitting he's in a hard place. And so maybe you've found yourself there. Maybe you've felt like you've not been at ease, that you've not been able to be quiet and at peace, that you've had no rest, and trouble continues to come. That is a hard place to be. So we'll see what Job's friends do here in Job 4 as he sits in this hard place. Well, of those 3 friends listed, do they extend comfort to his mind? No. Eliphaz instead brings a series of back and forths with Job that's pretty much going to last the whole book of Job. Eliphaz channels Satan the accuser and makes direct and indirect accusations against Job. In chapter 4, verse 5, saying, you are impatient. This was after saying that Job had practiced patience with other individuals and told them to be patient in the midst of their suffering. And now Eliphaz is saying, well, it's easy to do and easy to say when you're not suffering. And now that you're suffering, you are feeling impatient. Eliphaz then says to Job in verse 8, those who plow iniquity and sow trouble reap the same, which seems to be an accusation to say that since you have reaped trouble and are experiencing iniquity, that maybe you are sinful. And so then in Job 4:21 it says, humans die devoid of wisdom, saying that essentially that Job is a human and is devoid of wisdom, especially wisdom with God. And so Eliphaz is seeking here, he's seeking to, comfort Job, maybe, by trying to explain why Job is suffering instead of just extending him graciousness that he needs, right? This is a common human, trait that we do, is in the midst of challenges, we try and explain why something is happening instead of acknowledging that things just happen. And also that we have a hard time accepting, these realities of things happening to us. So this, as we close today, I invite you to be attentive to your own wrestlings that come up here as we read the book of Job. And as we continue through this next week, reading this book, and may you also be able to accept whatever it leads you, wherever it leads you as well too, and accept that really it is a walk with God you're supposed to be on. So there I leave you, and we look forward to Job chapter 5 next time.